Riots about to come to screeching halt after what Trump just gave all police permission to do. For the several months, there have been riots in the streets ever since Donald Trump was elected as president. Instead of the left accepting the fact that America did, in fact, elect President Trump, they have been in a complete meltdown. At first, there were protests as these enlightened morons claimed that Trump colluded with Russia. Then when that did not work, they decided to reignite the old tired racist and bigot mantra to foment more angst. On top of all that, these liberal half-wits have also let loose the violent group Antifa to terrorize anyone with a dissenting point of view. For months, we have witnessed these basement dwellers attacking Trump supporters and destroying public property. The police have been told to stand down to allow these destructive minions their chance at free speech, but that is about to change after what Trump just did. This past weekend, there was another protest that took place in Berkeley, California, and of course, chaos ensued. The violent alt-left of Antifa showed up at the protest running wild and causing destruction. The black-clad fascists ran through the peaceful protesters and stormed the school and surrounding areas. According to reports, police were given an order to stand down, and law enforcement retreated to the perimeter of the park where Antifa was gathering. Well, now these destructive riots may come to a screeching halt after what Trump just did this morning. You see, during the Ferguson, Missouri, riots after Michael Brown was shot by an officer, the police used military gear to combat the destruction. Apparently, Obama felt like this was a big no-no, saying that military gear should not be seen on our city streets. So, with one swoop of his pen, Obama signed an executive order that halted surplus military equipment to local law enforcement. For quite some time, law enforcement officials have been asking that this policy is reversed, and it just was. Documents that were obtained by Fox News reveal that President Trump will sign an executive order that will reverse this Obama-era policy. Trump's executive order will restore the full scope of a long-standing program for recycling surplus, life-saving gear from the Department of Defense. The document that was obtained continues by saying, the gear recycled through the Department of Defense's 1033 program includes everything from ammunition and vehicles to office supplies. Under that program, assets that would otherwise be scrapped can be repurposed to help state, local, and tribal law enforcement better protect public safety and reduce crime. However, civil rights leaders are already making us think about this and are warning that this may inflame tensions in minority communities where such equipment has been deployed in the past. Here is more from USA Today. It is both exceptionally dangerous and irresponsible for the administration to lift the ban on the transfer of certain surplus military equipment to state and local law enforcement organizations, said Janai Nelson, Associate Director of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Just a few summers ago, our nation watched as Ferguson raised the specter of increased police militarization. The law enforcement response there and in too many places across the country demonstrated how perilous, especially for black and brown communities, a militarized police force can be. Nelson said the timing of the president's decision, against the backdrop of unrest in Charlottesville, Virginia, reflects this administration's now open effort to escalate racial tensions in our country. Local access to the high-powered gear was put on national display in 2014 in Ferguson, Mo, where armored vehicles and heavily armed police clashed with protesters for days following the police shooting of an unarmed 18-year-old black man by a white officer. The deployment of such equipment, President Obama argued at the time, cast the police as an occupying force, deepening a divide between law enforcement and a wary community. We've seen how militarized gear can sometimes give people a feeling like they're an occupying force, as opposed to a force that's part of the community that's protecting them and serving them, Obama said in announcing the ban in 2015. The military gear ban was among a host of policing reform recommendations to flow from a White House advisory group formed in the aftermath of the Ferguson rioting. The Task Force on 21st Century Policing, chaired by former Philadelphia Police Commissioner Charles Ramsey and Lori Robinson, A former assistant attorney general called on law enforcement officials to minimize the appearance of a military operation when policing mass demonstrations. Avoid using provocative tactics and equipment that undermine civilian trust, the task force urged. The previously banned equipment also included tracked armored vehicles, bayonets, and grenade launchers.